I think it's really interesting what you said about the shift in strategy initially because of the pressure of the anti-war movement. 'Cause I grew up in a town where there were signs, spray painted signs that said nuke the towel heads after 9/11. Really brutal, brutal desire for violence. And I remember a shift happening in the rhetoric that went from kind of like blatant bloodlust to we're being smarter with how we fight the war. And that was a way to kind of introduce drones as a humanitarian weapon. But it was also a response to pressure from the anti war movement that said, we're not going to sit back and watch civilian casualties in silence. We're not going to triumphantly march blindly into another war. And so I think that there's a way in which the victories of the left get swallowed up and rehashed as an idea that came from the center or came from the right. Like, no, we are being humanitarian. We're doing targeted drone strikes now. And that's better for US citizens who get to play video games that actually kill people. And it's better for Afghanis who, better not go to the wrong wedding venue, essentially. So I think that it's imperative that we take a real inventory of our failures and of our victories and not allow them to get reworked by the dominant media narrative. And as we go into another 2 decades of intense change, I think we've obviously seen the flooding across the eastern part of the United States and the southeast with Hurricane Ida, the casualties from that. It's bringing the truth of climate change home. We're seeing a proliferation in nuclear weapons in the United States that, like you said, has been vastly underreported. It's staggering. They're faster, swifter, smaller. I wanted to talk to you about the ways in which we can talk about left foreign policy. What is left foreign policy? How do we advocate for left foreign policy? How do we keep clear-headed when we're being plied with rosy promises from bad actors?
Well, you publish articles in Jacobin and you organize people to act on what they learn. There's no secret. We know how to do it. The thing is to do it. It's been done over and over. Every popular move, every major cause that's been won over the centuries has been won by people who are working on the ground. Take, say, the civil rights movement. Mention the civil rights movement. The name that comes to mind is Martin Luther King, who was a great figure. He deserves it. But I'm sure he would have been the first to say that he was riding on a wave that was created by people whose names nobody knows. SNCC activists who were riding freedom buses through Alabama, facing threats, killing, and so on, trying to encourage a Black farmer to have the courage to dare to go to a voting booth in a bitterly racist country. Okay, well, those are the people who, my old friend Howard Zinn put it pretty well once. He said that what matters is the countless number of unknown people who lay the basis for the changes that take place in history. He said it more eloquently, but basically that. I think that's the point. We don't even know the names of the people who've done the really significant and important work, just as we don't know the names of the people overseas who are struggling for their rights courageously under horrible conditions. Okay, we can help them in many ways. It's been done in the past, can be done more in the future. Now, we don't have a lot of time now. The problems are much more urgent than they were in the past. The climate problem, a couple of decades. We don't take care of it in a couple of decades, we'll pass tipping points. Face the fact that the Republicans are probably going to get back into power probably next year, maybe more in 2024. That means pure denialism, 100% denialism. Let's race over the precipice as quickly as possible because it'll put a little more money in the pockets of our corporate masters. That's the Republican Party. It's going to be a big fight to try to do something about that. Not that Democrats are so magnificent. I talked about Biden, but at least they can be pressed. Okay. Actually, younger Republicans can too. It's not among younger Republicans, there's less of the cowardly, brutal dedication to massive destruction in the interests of private wealth. That's the older part of the Republican leadership, the Lindsey Grahams. But younger people are somewhat different, and they can be reached. Okay? That can make a difference.
If you like this video from The Jacobin Show, please hit like and subscribe and share with your friends. Thanks.